The weir fishing was a native practice that was adopted by the colonists. You put in a series of poles with nets that have ever smaller exits from them until you finally get to the end and you, the fish, are stuck. There's no way out and you can be collected. The native people went out in dugouts, which are called mishoons, and later you'd go out in a rowboat or a dory to pick it up and fish. You could still do it, but the larger trawlers with bigger nets became more economically efficient. As I recall, again, like from my childhood, I saw them in the 1950s. I think there were still a couple in the 1960s, and then they ceased to be used. They weren't economically viable. Because weirs were emptied by hand, you could discard the fish that you didn't want and let them go on and live their fishy lives. While with large seine nets in trawlers, everything is hauled out and everything dies. So there would be a case for going back to it.
My grandfather ran the North Truro cold storage for many years. And he also designed the hopper, which was offshore from the cold storage in North Truro. And it was a tower, basically, that he designed for the trap boats to come out to and load their fish from the trap boat into a bucket that then went on a line into the cold storage. And it worked very well. And that's how they got the fish from the boats into the cold storage. And it was a favorite place for people to jump off and dive off. He was an adventurer and he was a free spirit in a way, more so than his brothers, I think. And he brought my grandmother, who was English, to Truro because he thought it would remind her of Scotland, and it did. And he was a conservationist and way before his time. I mean, he had a lot of foresight, in terms of nature and the natural world. I remember that they would take the poles out, the fishing weir poles that I can't remember what they were made out of, which kind of wood, but there was a scow in the Pamet Harbor that they used to transport the poles from the harbor out to where the weirs are in North Truro. And they also, took the nets out during the winter and took them up to the twine fields and tarred them, in the wintertime. And I remember being up there and seeing the nets across all the land up there. Yeah, I have a very vivid memory of, and I was thinking about it. I don't know what time of year it was. It wasn't summer, I don't think. I think it was either fall or spring, but the weirs were working, so it wasn't the dead of winter. But I was asleep up in what was my father's and his brother's bedroom at my grandparents' house. So my grandmother woke me up. It was pitch dark. It was freezing cold. I really didn't want to go. And she was like, Pop, once you've made this plan, you're going. So she'd made sandwiches for us, and we got in his truck and we went out to the cold storage and got in the trap boats and went out to the weirs. And just as the sun was coming up, it was dark until we got out there. And the sun was coming up, and what I remember is that the weirs were full of tuna, splashing around. The bowl where the tuna, they went through like a corridor almost of a netting, and then got caught in a bowl and kept going around and around and couldn't get out. So anyway, the bowl was full of tuna fish, and they were just splashing around, and it was just an incredible sight. And then the fishermen were using big gaffs to gaff them into the boat. which, you know, sort of freaked me out. But, and the other memory I have is that there was somebody, one of the fishermen had a gun, a shotgun, I think, on the boat, which, you know, he did not shoot while I was there, but I gather they use that sometimes to get some fish into the boat.
There's a handful of guys in Long Island that still do it, a few people in Rhode Island. There's some in the Chesapeake that are still active with it, but it's a very small percentage of people. So what's interesting about the weir fishing to me is when we finally do get set up to catch fish, one, you never know what you're going to catch. It's always like, you know, opening a Christmas present when you go haul the net. Hopefully there's something in it and not an empty box, but sometimes we go there and there could be squid in there, there could be butterfish, there could be a bunch of scup. You never know what you might catch. And that, you know, and hopefully sometimes there's something like we really like to see, like a big bunch of big sea bass. Certain things I really love seeing in the net and swimming around. And then if there's things that we can't use or have a market for, we can release them and they're alive. And even for me, I need like 2 more people, 3 of us to actually do it. And this year it's going to be a struggle to find 2 more people that want, you know, to be able to do it. So if I can't find those people, I'm not going to stop going because I don't like it. I'm going to stop going because I can't find the help to do it. So there was 4 weir fishing companies left out of Chatham and Harwich. One of the companies bought up another guy that retired, so then there was only three left. And then Mark Simney switched from going down like off of Barnstable for squid and scup to fishing off of Harwich, Chatham for mackerel. And for a number of years he caught quite a few mackerel each spring season. I ended up buying the business from Mark in 2001, hoping to catch loads of mackerel in the springtime and whatever else I might catch. And then by about 2006, we ended up having a couple decent squid seasons. And then after that, 2008, I had a pretty decent season. And then after that, I had 4 years where I really didn't make any money at all. I gave up for 3 years because we didn't catch enough fish, you know, we really caught nothing. So I think in 2015, maybe I set up 1 weir off of Osterville. And we ended up having a pretty good season, catching scup, sea bass, a little bit of squid, enough to say, hey, we want to do this again. So in each weir that I set up, there's between 80 to 140 poles per trap. So these poles are 4 to 5 inches in diameter at the bottom, 2 inches at the top, and, you know, up to 45 feet long. Now, originally when I bought the business, we'd set up 4 or 5 in a season, spring season. So we'd set up the gear in March, April, we'd set everything up, hopefully catch fish end of April, May, and beginning part of June. And then when the fish migrated away from the shore, because the water warmed up, we'd break everything down and put it away, and that's when we'd go lobstering after that. The Harwich one, we had seals coming and going, so that trap didn't catch enough fish to say, you know, set up again, so we kept doing the one in Osterville. So we've done that 24 hours a day. There's a few seals, you know, they can come and go, and that's one of the reasons. Another reason I think that the weir fishing is gone downhill is because the seals get in there and eat fish in the traps, and and on top of it, they scare the fish away. It devastated the weir fishing economy, where it became non-viable to go do it. And the last few years I was setting up 5 and 6 weirs, we would see go to each trap and we have 200 or 300 pounds of eaten fish in each net. So that pretty much they would get in there and eat what little fish we had, and they could actually herd the fish away from the net or scare them so they could scare their way out of the net. Basically, the fish we catch in the weirs are all schooling fish, and once the bigger predator comes in the past, the fishing would slow down when the bluefish showed up, because the bluefish would scare the fish away and get in there and chase them around. Now, when the bluefish get in there, the seals eat the bluefish. Whatever I did in life was going to be either in the forest, farming, or fishing, and I chose fishing. I just think it's one of these, so the thing will be lost once this is gone, and in Massachusetts, there's just 2 of us left actively setting these weirs. It's just a tradition. It's been a long-standing fishery. In Provincetown alone, they used to produce a tremendous amount of fish on the fresh market every day in season, and now we're getting, in the springtime, even now, people are always curious how we're doing. When it's gone, it'll just be replaced by frozen imported fillets and different things. You won't see nobody's going to miss freshly caught weir fish in the fish market. The locals that are used to coming down and getting a bucket of fish will just switch to doing something else.